Hi everybody and welcome back to PC Hype. So the purpose of this video is to give you my 5 best tips for constructing a gaming PC. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of people are nervous about building a PC, but it's really the best thing to do to maximize your money and get the best system you can afford. So let me talk about my 5 tips. Number 5 is the case matters. And I think this is pretty important. People tend to think of their PC case as an afterthought. But the reality is it determines so much, from how your system looks to your ability to upgrade it in the future. If you decide to get some new parts, a longer, more powerful video card, or to add some kind of new cooling, maybe water cooling, it's important to think about those things at least a little when you're a new builder. When I built my first system, I didn't think much about the case. I bought a Corsair 400R because it was sort of maybe the most mainstream case around and people sort of recommended it, and I didn't stay happy with it for very long. So you need to research cases pretty carefully and find one that really suits your needs and leaves you some room to expand in the future. I personally recommend that you look very hard at companies like Fractal Design and Fantex, and some of the cases from NZXT are amazing, and some of the Corsair cases are also very good. So keep those in mind. I would like to give a shout out here to two YouTube channels that I think do the best job of recommending and reviewing cases, and those are Hardware Canucks, who seem to review almost every case with video reviews on YouTube and do a great job of it, and OC3D, where Tiny Tom Logan doesn't review as many cases, but he does them in exacting detail, and his videos are just an amazing, amazing resource. My number 4 tip is don't wait around. You'll hear a lot of people that talk about building a new PC, a gaming PC, talk about, I'm waiting for this, I'm waiting for that. And the reality is you'll be waiting forever. As soon as the thing you're waiting for comes out, there will be rumors of something else, and then you'll be waiting for that. The perfect time to build a gaming PC is now. Really, there's too many awesome games around. How can you wait? My 3rd tip is that you should spend about 1/3 of your budget on the GPU, or the video card. I've seen people figure this and say 1/4, but I think that's too low. The number 1 bottleneck in games these days is GPU power. CPU power hasn't gone up that much. Game usage on most games is not CPU dependent. CPUs from 3-4 years ago work just as well as new ones in most games. So really you need to spend the biggest chunk of your budget that you can on the GPU, on the video card. I think that's really important. My number 2 tip is yes, overclock. So many new builders say, I won't overclock, I won't overclock. And I understand why. It seems daunting. But the reality is computer parts are made to be overclocked these days. It's clicking a couple things in software and there you go. It's not expensive. A $35 CPU cooler will do the job and give you a great stable overclock. There's no soldering or weird things like that involved. People think there was because of crazy high-end overclockers back in the day. It's something you go on your screen and you click a few buttons and you have a nice overclock. You can give yourself 20-25% more performance just by clicking a few buttons in the BIOS or in software. It's so easy. So even if you don't think you want to overclock, you're nervous about it, that's fine. But think about it for the future because it'll give you room to grow. Especially in the area of cooling. Buy a CPU cooler that's a little better than the one that comes with the chip. Those are really bad, they're really loud. So I recommend you spend at least 35 bucks. This one is the Cooler Master Hyper 212. It's the old standby for new builders. It does a great job for mid-range overclocks, and it's really not much money, so you should go for that right away. And finally, my last tip, number 1, for building a new gaming PC is Intel all the way. Look, I love AMD. Everybody loves the plucky little underdog. and I recommend a lot of AMD video cards. But for the CPU, you have to go with Intel right now. AMD's processors are way behind. Even their top of the line ones don't perform as well in most games as Intel's cheap ones. There's just no reason, there's no rational reason other than brand loyalty to go with AMD. And if you feel that, that's fine. Buy an AMD video card. Buying the CPU is pointless. You're only hamstringing yourself. They just don't perform well. We all want AMD to improve their CPU process and get competitive again, like the old Phenom 2 days. But that's just not where we are now, and we have to face that reality. So for right now, when you're putting together your build, you've got to go with Intel for the CPU. There's really no other choice. So that's it for my top 5 tips on putting together a gaming PC. I hope you found this useful. Please comment below, like and favorite if you want to see more. And I will also be happy to answer any questions that I receive. You can email me at pchype@gmail.com, or you can post something in the comments below and I'll do my best to get in touch with you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.